Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you guys doing? I was recently sent a video from a good friend of mine of this guy called Constantine relating a discussion, a conversation that he had with Ben Shapiro. Let's take a look at the key points of contention and come back and respond in kind.
And so to me, masculinity isn't about having big muscles or having a big head or wide fists or whatever. If we think about our conversation earlier about power, like I remember talking to Ben Shapiro about this, and he was like, yeah, there's this guy on the internet who's like, yeah, I could take off, got big muscles. And he was like, yeah, I could pay people to shoot you.
Now, I'll be honest with you, for more than one reason, I found the contents.
I mean, I get what that person is saying.
Yeah.
What?
It just
No, I
no.
mean,
Go ahead.
no, because I think a lot of people. Mohammed Hijab is gonna try to say like speak against that, but I think the actual point that is trying to the other person is making is that muscle is not the only
Right.
method of exerting power, right?
Yes.
Like you could have physical strength, but you could have financial strength, you could have intellectual strength, you could have strategic strength. And I think a lot of people when they think about masculinity, they are talking about one form or another of displaying of power, right?
Yes.
Of force and control over that force. So muscles are not the only way that you could display that, and I think that was the point here. But I think Mohammed Hijab is going to miss the point. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. Not only that was I think the point, but also that he will completely miss it. I just thought I started laughing just because I thought it was funny, just because like he instantly instead of using any other example in that scenario, right? Like he could have said, oh, there's this guy, he's big muscles, I'll beat you up, whatever. And it's like, we live in a different world now, man. And trying to make things happen is done through conversation and rational, discourse. He could have said that. He just instantly went to, I'll just pay somebody to kill you. And it's like, whoa, man, hang on a second. Maybe
Well,
just
I think because a lot of men, like we, by the way, when I say toxic masculinity, I'm not saying masculinity is bad,
Right.
because we also have positive masculinity,
Absolutely.
right? So please don't think like I'm one of those people who wants to kind of dismiss how important masculinity is. Masculinity is a good thing in general. Just because we have toxic versions of it, that doesn't mean
Correct.
it's a bad thing, right? So, but I think it's that people who have toxic masculinity in opposed to the positive versions of masculinity, I think they want to display their masculinity by how easily they could take someone out, right?
Sure.
You know how, for example, Mohammed Hijab says like, oh, come into a case, like when he argues with people over Twitter or on YouTube, he says like, come, maybe I will beat you up, maybe if I was fighting with you, I could like destroy you or something like that, right? So I think that person, when he says like, oh, I could pay somebody to, I don't know, shoot you or something, what they're trying to say is that even if that was the measurement of being able to take someone
They'd
out,
win. Yeah.
me without my muscles,
Yeah.
I have enough wealth to be able to still beat you, even when it comes to, physically taking care of somebody, right? I could
Right.
still do that with money without having muscles, right? And it's very interesting because Mohammed Hijab, like let's listen to this and then go to the whole Israel over Palestine thing, because he tries to show how Hamas militants are stronger than Israeli soldiers, because if they were meeting face to face, he acts like Hamas soldiers will defeat Israeli soldiers,
Oh,
but Israeli army needs to depend on technology and their advanced modern military, and that is not masculine. Yeah, they're cowards because they use their technology and press a button. So let's actually hear what he has to say
Reason
here.
I found the contents of this video quite disturbing. Now, whether or not this Ben Shapiro was talking about me, the muscular guy, I think the people can make that judgment themselves, whether the muscular guy is the champ or whether it's not the champ. But that's something you can.
Yeah, he had to do it twice. He was like, maybe one time was not enough, right? he was like, you could just judge yourself. Like, okay, Ben Shapiro is more masculine or me, and he had to, yeah.
Especially after the
It's so pathetic. Yeah.
especially after that. I love the he's showing off the muscles right after he just did the like wiped his nose all freaking badass and whatnot. Like, oh my god, it's just
Oh my
it's
God.
just silly. It's just it really does.
Thi-
It looks like it
This,
looks like a 5-year-old kid trying to act like an adult. Like
yeah, listen to this. Like, this kid this quote again.
Now, whether or not this Ben Shapiro was talking about me, the muscular guy, I think the people can make that judgment themselves, whether the muscular guy is the champ or whether it's not the champ. But that's something you can discuss later.
Look at
But
him
the
smiling.
content of the
He's so
Yeah, that's
proud of that.
disgusting.
He's so proud of that. Look at that smile on his face. Oh my god, that's so funny. Okay. All right.
Okay, I didn't show you this video before we went live, but I want to say, like, because he's like, I am more masculine than Ben Shapiro because I have muscles, right? So I didn't tell Elliot about this video that I just downloaded like just a few minutes before the shows, because I think Mohammed Hijab is just assuming something, and he didn't go and verify this. Because hold on, let me show you this.
Out. Okay, I guess that we'll have to do this. Here's our inaugural gun show. For those who have not experienced the silly wonders of the gun show, basically for what, 2 years now? Every time we do in all access, 3 years? Yeah, like going all the way back to the pandemic is when this started. So close to 4 years. Basically, people ask for a gun show and we then humor them. And it's horrifying. But, you know, this is the world in which we live. So here we go.
Man, you boy
Horrid!
he's slow. He's cut.
Yeah,
like no, man. I mean, again, like look, not that the muscles makes the man, folks. That is not what we are saying.
Right.
But like, that's some decent proof that dude could hold his own, man. Like, absolutely, dude could be doing bench pressing, no problem, man. Deadlift all
Right,
over your
right.
ass. Like, damn.
And it's and Ben Shapiro has a much smaller body, and to be able to gain that much muscle with a smaller body
Impressive.
and also stay lean, right? So it's okay. So if you don't care about, so I say this by experience, right? So if you don't care about staying lean, and it's easier to build muscle rather than somebody who is also building a lot of muscles but is also fat. So if you look at Mohammed Hijab, he has a lot of muscle, but he's also chubby. Ben Shapiro managed to gain all that, muscle while also not getting fat, which is so much more, that balancing act is like a lot more difficult than what Mohammed Hijab is doing. So
It'd be more
which
beneficial.
requires more.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say it'd be more, Ben Shapiro being leaner, not having all that extra weight on like Mohammed Hijab does. If we're thinking about it in a physical hand-to-hand contest, that would actually benefit our boy Ben here a lot more than it would Mo. So I mean, just it kind of sounds like not that this is the standard for masculinity, folks. But by Mohammed Hijab's standard of masculinity, it still seems like he loses, right? Like,
yeah. Here's the thing. I actually talked to Susanna before the show about what is seen as a good form of masculinity, and what it was interesting what she had to say, because she was talking about how to her at least masculinity, or else the version that she thinks that is good, is a composure of character, mastery over oneself, rather than, it's not just about having strength, it's about having strength and also being able to control that strength.
Yes.
Whether it's physical strength or any other form of strength, like intellectual strength, financial strength, being able to control and monitor it and use it effectively, and not just like be explosive like Mohammed Hijab is about it, or be egoistic about it. That is, that control over your power is also a demonstration of not just being a wild barbarian and rather
Mhm.
somebody who has composure and knows how to exert that power when it's necessary.
Yeah.
And also it's especially because anybody, like, if you don't monitor, anybody can gain muscle by just lifting weights, right?
Mhm.
But again, you could see that Ben Shapiro, when he has gained muscle, he also managed to not like get fat, not overeat, which requires a lot more management and planning than what Mohammed Hijab does. Somebody as the size of Mohammed Hijab and somebody who has a lot of fat in his body, all you have to do is just lift weights and you're going to gain muscle. There's not much to it. Again, but
Mhm.
and also it's very interesting because Mohammed Hijab also keeps comparing how strong and brave and masculine Hamas or Islamic militants are compared to Israeli soldiers who use technology and who use like press buttons behind from somewhere far, and that's how they kill people, which is also not a fair ex, description of what's happening. Like, Israeli soldiers are on the ground fighting face to face with Hamas militants,
Yeah.
something that Mohammed Hijab asked for, right? So because Mohammed Hijab, before Israeli soldiers went into Gaza, he was like, "You guys are cowards. You're just shooting from
Yeah.
air from far away.
Mhm.
If you are brave, just show up in Gaza and fight face to face." And they did. And they're killing each Israeli soldier, even face to face, is responsible for more Hamas militants dying than each Hamas militant is responsible for Israeli soldiers dying. So even face to face, they're beating your ass, right? Beating Hamas uh, militants. So they are better at being having financial. So also, even if they are stronger because they have a stronger military, that's because they're a stronger country. So face to face, they are better soldiers than Hamas militants, but also their technological advancements and their advancement in military technology
Mhm.
is because they are just a better country. They're a better state. They manage their wealth better. They manage their values better. They have better access to more advanced science and technology. So this is what barbarians like Muhammad Hijab don't understand. The only thing they see as power is brute force, is physical force. It's because they still live in the dark ages. They don't understand that in modern, there are other forms of power. If your country is more advanced and can afford better military or better, more advanced weapons, that is also a sign of strength. You are, as a society, weaker. Your Islamic society is in general weaker. That's why you only have to rely on trying to display that you are more of a man on an individual level, because you as a society suck. You're backwards, you're behind. But as we're saying right now on the ground, even when it comes to individual, you're still weaker than an Israeli soldier. That's why Mohammed Hijab has to lie about the numbers of Israeli soldiers dying relative to Hamas militants dying, because it cannot be. There's no way that there's only like a few hundreds of them dying, because I saw a video somewhere that a tank exploded, and that's his method
Mm.
of measurement. And he's not very smart. Again, intellect is also, for a lot of people, a sign of masculinity. Somebody who, I have some examples, but I'm going to let you speak before I mention some of the examples that I have.
Yeah, I think everything you said is great, because what it highlights is the real problem at the core of toxic masculinity, I think, which is
Right.
the purposeful limiting of men to the smallest aspect of what it means to be a man, what it means to be a human, right? At the end of the day, you just heard Armin lay out 5, 6 different aspects of personhood, right? Like, there's all these other parts of being a man, rather than just, I'm big and strong, I can beat you up with my bare hands. But that's all you're going to hear from people like Muhammad Hijab. They're going to limit what it means to be a man to this extremely narrow, psychotic bullshit view. And all that does is hurt absolutely everybody involved. It causes more sexual assault. It causes more, men unaliving themselves. It's terrible across the board for everybody. And all you need to do is stop thinking that man equals big muscles beat this guy up. It's like, just add anything else to that, man. It is just the lowest grade school level understanding of what it means to be a man. So yeah,
Right.
he's big, he's strong. He's also a jackass and an idiot. So